Good afternoon, everybody. Am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm facing a few connectivity issues, which is why I'll keep my video off for the day. But in case you're not able to hear me, do drop a message in the chat box or stop me. Okay. If you have any questions other than that from the session that we had last day, please ask them. We'll start with that. How many of you were there in the last session? Tanishka was there, I think.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else who was there in the last session? Okay, then I'll quickly run you through what we covered in the last session so that you don't feel like you're missing out on anything, and then we'll get into the rest of the presentation. We are covering resume writing in these two sessions. And in our last class, we had our first session where we looked at what the parts of a resume are, what should be included in it, how it should be formatted, what are the things that we should keep in mind when we are writing a resume, etc. Let's quickly go back and have a scan through the initial bit of the presentation. A resume should typically be 2 to 3 pages long, and it should summarize your education, your work experience, your skills, and your achievements. When you write a resume, it should outline your relevant skills and experience for your employer, and they should feel as if by hiring you, they are going to gain some benefit. It should grab the attention of employers, it should be able to stand out, and it should show that there is an alignment or fit between you and the job description that they have advertised. And thus, it should ideally lead to an interview. Now, this is the difference between a resume and CV. The reason I'm going fast here is because this is just a quick recap of the last session. Resume tends to be a little shorter than a CV, but if you are applying for a research position or an academic position, then you will be asked to submit a CV and not a resume because there you need to list out a whole lot more usually. Was this not clear? Okay, give me a second. Is that better now? Okay,
Yes.
all right. When you structure your resume, there are some things that you do need to add to it. These include your contact information, your resume objective or summary, your education, your work experience, your skills, and any relevant achievements that you have. You don't add both the resume objective and the resume summary. If you are a fresher, somebody who is starting out, then you would add a resume objective and it would highlight your ambition and your skills. You are a very experienced professional who's applying for a different position, then you would add a resume summary. Let's say you worked for several years, but now you were looking to switch your area of expertise. Until now, you've been, let's say, working as an engineer, and now maybe you're trying to go into data science. In that case, once again, you will use a resume objective. If you are an experienced professional who is applying within their area of expertise, then they would summarize all the achievements, all the different positions of responsibilities that they've handled over the course of several years using a resume summary. This is just an example. You would include your GPA in your resume if it is on the higher side. If it is not high enough to make you stand out, in that case, you will try to supplement that lack by using other skills or achievements or trainings that you might have, which show that you have transferable skills and that you are employment ready. You could also add any technical or computer skills that you possess, any publications that you have, any additional languages that you know, any volunteering that you've done, or any international experiences that you've gained. You should not use the same resume for applying for multiple positions. You should customize your resume. That is because you will have to pass your resume through applicant tracking systems or ATS systems. That is a repetition. ATS, S is for systems. Okay. You will have to pass your resume through tracking systems, which will either select or reject your resume on the basis of whether or not it conforms to certain things that are deemed indispensable to that particular job description. You will be able to pick out certain key phrases or keywords relating to the skills that the employer is looking for in that job description by studying the JD very carefully. And then, when you customize your resume, you need to make sure that you include these keywords in your resume. Now, in our last class, somebody had asked me what is the different software that you can use in order to check your resume score. Some of those online resume checkers that are available include Resume Go, Enhance CV, JobScan, and SkillSync. You can use any of these resources in order to get a score. They score your resume, and that gives you an idea about how strong of a resume you have or how weak of a resume you have. But always remember that these software function on the logic of whether or not you have included certain keywords that are considered necessary for that job. Okay, so this is what you should keep in mind when you are drafting your resume. Make sure to include those keywords. When you craft a resume, you should use phrases rather than full sentence wherever possible. This is the difference between resume objective and summary, which we have already discussed. Star method is one of those methods which allow you to structure your resume on the basis of a situation, a task, an action, and a result. You place yourself in a situation. What is the task that you need to accomplish in that situation? What action did you take to accomplish the task? And what result did you produce? Now, using the STAR method will yield you huge chunks of information which you will edit and include in your resume as phrases rather than full sentences. You need to make your phrasing as short and as concise as possible. And when you are phrasing your resume, you need to make use of action words. Action words. Some of the examples are designed, supervised, gained, authorized, authored, staffed, tested, created, enforced, evaluated, calibrated, maybe edited, proofread. All of these are examples of action words. You could start your sentences or your phrases by using an action word. We will see this as we go along in the presentation. You need to make sure that you're never just giving generic statements in your resume. Rather, you are illustrating these skills or any claims that you make in your resume using concrete examples. For example, you do not say, I am a hardworking person. Rather, you give an example of where you have had to work hard in your career so far or in your experiences so far. When you decide and format your resume, make sure that your formatting is consistent across your pages, and that you do not use any informal looking fonts, that you use a combination of serif fonts and sans serif fonts wherever appropriate, and that wherever possible you use numbers which tend to jump out on a page of text. Resume templates are, this is where we start our presentation for today. This, until now, we had covered in our last session. I was just quickly running you through it so that you do not feel out of touch with the sessions, with the last session, considering how most of you were not there in the last session. Now, we begin today's session in earnest. Specific universities most often have specific resume templates. For example, IIT Madras did have a specific resume template which it would use for internship applications as well as job applications. This was given to us while we studied there. Now, if that is the kind of template that you want to use, then you should contact your organization, which and they will be able to give you that specific template. On the other hand, if you're using a generic template, you can find such templates on designing platforms such as Canva, online resume builder tools such as Zetty, Resume.io, and Novo Resume, and Google Docs and Word documents also offer you a generic resume template which you will have to edit, personalize, and customize for your own need and use. When writing sentences in a resume or for a resume, you should use parallel statements. Parallel statements are those statements which mirror each other's structure. They are structured in the same way. For example, we saw that whenever drafting or crafting a resume, we should try to use phrases rather than entire sentences wherever possible. When you use phrases, you would be giving them or listing them out as bulleted points. These bulleted points should show a parallel structure or a mirrored structure. Consider the first box, for instance. Today's presentation will take the following format. Give me just a second. Today's presentation will take the following format. We will examine the current dress code, reasons for a change in the dress code, new dress code explanation, and summary. The same points, on the other hand, are listed using a parallel structure in the second box. In today's presentation, we will examine the current dress code, notice how it is leading with an action word, second sentence, second phrase, give reasons for a change in the dress code, third point, explain the new dress code, and fourth, summarize the main points. The only difference between the first box and the second box is that in the second box, the bulleted points all use a parallel or mirrored structure such that the reading of the points somehow becomes more easy and your audience is able to grasp the points and the relation between the points, the succession between them, a lot easier than they were able to do so in the first box. Okay? This is what a parallel structure refers to. When you format your resume, you should adopt a clean, organized, and easy to read template. Do not use very complex designs or graphics. When you choose a color template, for instance, limit yourself to a maximum of 3 colors or 2 colors. Okay? If you want to make it colorful, if you feel like you would like a bit of color on your resume, then you should limit yourself to a maximum of 3 colors. And these colors should be somber, professional looking. And examples of such colors include white, off white, and gray. And they should harmonize the design rather than make it look like it is a bit extra or excessive. Your alignment throughout the pages should be consistent, and the formatting of fonts should also be the same on all pages. For example, if you are formatting your titles in a certain manner, you should follow that same kind of formatting for all titles. If you format your subtitles in a certain manner, you should follow the same font style, font size, etc. for all subtitles. Visual hierarchy is something that you see, it's something that you can only see. You cannot speak about it, you cannot explain it. It's something that you only see. For example, look at this slide. You have a title and you have points that follow the title. Just by the fact that I place the title up above, centered over here, and the points down below as bulleted points, gives you the idea that all the points listed below somehow relate to the title that is given above. This is an example of visual hierarchy. The most important points are given the most visually imposing position, and there might be different points of a progressively lesser importance. Those progressively lesser important points are given progressively less visually catchy positions on the page. Okay? Then there is also the fact that a page is made up not just of content but also of white space. The white space on a page can be used strategically to your advantage such that you invite attention. Give me a second. Okay. Such that you invite the reader's attention to the right points or the right emphasis on your slides. Have a look at this slide. This is an example of how visual hierarchy can be used to your advantage. When listing educational achievements on your resume, the standard practice is to list your latest educational achievement first, and then as you go backwards in time, you list those educational achievements or educational qualifications below your latest educational qualification. Your latest educational qualification is also likely to be your highest educational qualification. Okay? For example, if you have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, you would list your master's degree first and your bachelor's degree below your master's degree. Here, on the other hand, you have two bachelor's degrees. Okay? In that case, you would list that degree which is more suited or more in alignment with the job for which you are applying first, and the second degree below it. So, first you have that degree to which you want to draw primary attention. That is Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, Troy, New York, Bachelor of Science, Material Science and Engineering. BS Material Science and Engineering, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, Troy, NY. The only difference here is that you are listing the name of your degree first and the name of your institute the next. This is an example of using visual hierarchy to your advantage. If the primary qualification that is listed in the job description is that bachelor's degree, the point in bold clearly shows that you have a bachelor's degree. And the subsequent point shows the name of the institute from where you got this bachelor's degree. This is an example of how visual hierarchy can be used to your advantage. Okay. And other examples of visual hierarchy, like we discussed, include situations where you might have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, wherein the master's degree comes first. Okay. If you have only a bachelor's degree, but you have a bachelor's degree which specializes into different, then you would include that degree which is more job description for which you apply. Let me just take a pause here. Oh, my voice. That's okay. I'll do that's it. That's okay. Any questions that you have at this point? Are you able to hear me now? Any questions that you might have right now? Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions so far in our presentation?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'll repeat the visual hierarchy bit just in case anybody was not able to understand. Visual hierarchy simply implies that there is a hierarchy or positions on the page which are given more importance and less importance. And you find this kind of hierarchy by the way you place and format your text on a page. This is a visual hierarchy. You do not say anything to show that there is a hierarchy here. Rather, just by the way you format and place the text on the page, you convey a hierarchy. What is more important and what is less important. Okay? An example of a visual hierarchy is usually seen in the way in which we list educational qualifications in a resume. If you have a higher degree and a lower degree, you will list the higher degree first because you want to invite more attention to your higher degree than to your lower degree. If you have two equal degrees, for example, if you have two master's degrees and you are applying for a position, then you will list that master's degree which is more relevant to the job for which you're applying first and the second master's degree below it. Okay, here on the page you see that somebody has a bachelor of science degree. In the first column you see that the hierarchy or the great degree of importance goes to the name of the institute. In the second box, however, greater degree of importance is given to the degree itself, BS, Material Science and Engineering. The degree itself is given greater degree of importance and the name of the institute is listed below the degree so that it gets a second order of importance. Okay? This is done so that whoever is looking through your resume immediately gets an idea of whether or not you have the required educational qualification. For example, if you're applying for a job where the educational qualification is a bachelor's degree in material science and engineering, you want to draft your resume such that anybody is able to tell in just a glance that you possess the required qualification. That is why you give your degree a greater degree of importance and the name of your institute a lesser degree of importance. I hope that is clear now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the usage of white space strategically such that whoever is looking through your resume is able to clearly distinguish each point. and find out what is more important and what is less important. On a page, there is text and there is white space. Now, within this chunk of text, you might want to highlight specific phrases. If there are specific phrases that you want to highlight within a chunk of text, then it is always better to list out those phrases as bulleted points, simply because here each point is interceded by white space, which makes the process of reading that much more user friendly. Whoever is reading your resume or going through your resume finds it very easy to grasp the key points that you want to highlight when you list them out as points with white space in between them than when you list them out as a paragraph or as a chunk of information. This is how you can use white space to your advantage. In the same breath, I would like to also point out that the length of the sentence here or the point here is very manageable. For example, this doesn't extend from here all the way till here. The use of margin, sufficient margin space, is also very important when you are drafting your resume. And the fact that, I don't know if you've noticed, but when you give bulleted points, this is one level, the first level of the bulleted points. If I have a subsidiary point, then just by pressing enter on a word processing software like MS Word, the second bulleted point can immediately go into the next level, the second level of hierarchy, which will be listed not here but here. Okay, you have that option available. Just like that, if you have a subsidiary point to add here, do not add that on the same level. Add it in the next level of the bulleted point. Okay? I hope that is clear because that is also one way in which you are showing whoever it is that is reading your resume that there are key points and there are subsidiary points. You do not list your information in the form of a hard to crack paragraph. You list your information in the form of bulleted points that are evenly spaced out. You list your subsidiary points or your supporting points as points that use the next level of bulleting so that whoever sees your resume can tell what is important and what is subsidiary in just a glance. You make sure to use sufficient margin space so that it doesn't look like your text extends from one end of the page to the very end of that page. Your text should be placed as readable units, in other words, and your page should not look very cluttered. These are all ways in which you make use of white space. These are some of the common resume mistakes that people are seen to make. Spelling and grammar errors, these are very common. Overselling your skills. You seem to claim that you are more skilled than you actually are, that you are capable of accomplishing a great deal more than you actually are capable of accomplishing using your skill set. Using generic statements. You give a vague and generic statement, such as I am a hardworking person, without using sufficient illustrations or demonstrations of the way in which you think of yourself as a hardworking person. Making the resume too long, putting wrong or outdated contact information. Your contact information is put there for a reason. So, whenever the employer is trying to reach you, they should be able to reach you. So, your contact information should be up to date, including references where they are not asked. Okay, including references in itself is not a drawback. But you need to include references only where they are asked, where they are requested by your employer. Failing to include information about hobbies and interests. Now, sometimes a resume might seem extremely dry, okay? And it fails to give a full picture of you as a person. That is where hobbies and interests figure. When you include a line or two about what interests you as a person, what are the things that you are invested in, then it can give a fuller picture of you as a person rather than just as a candidate. And some employers do really appreciate that. This is not to say that you should list your hobby as the first point on the page. This is to just ensure that you give a full picture, a well rounded picture of yourself rather than a very partial picture of yourself to the employer. How can we avoid these common resume mistakes? We can avoid these mistakes if we proofread our resumes meticulously, carefully, diligently. Okay? What is proofreading? After making a draft, you go through the draft very carefully and see if there are any spelling or grammar errors. You can also seek feedback from your peers or from your advisors or teachers, right? Peers are those who are in the same age group as you, and career advisors are usually somebody who is either older or more experienced than you are. After drafting a resume, you can give it to them, and they will go through the resume and tell you if there are specific points that need to be improved or corrected. You can also check for plagiarism and grammatical errors using online language tools. This is something that we do anyhow, but in case you do not, and if you do not feel confident about your grammar, then make sure to use an online tool such as Grammarly is obviously the first choice, probably. I think Grammarly is used most commonly by most people who work in content creation than any other tool. But there are also other tools such as Scriber, Copyscape, and EasyBib. Okay? In case you want to use any of these tools, if you feel like you are a little doubtful about your use of grammar, then make sure to use these online language tools in order to ensure that your resume is error free. Now we look into what cover letters and references are. A cover letter is a letter of introduction, and it usually goes with your resume, it accompanies your resume. It provides a quick overview of your skills and qualifications and your reasons of interest in the job profile. Now, what does that mean? It means that it is not just a dumb rehashing of your resume. You are trying to communicate something very important, which is that you are eager to get this job. There are specific reasons why you are eager to get this job. So, you are trying to show your employer that you are interested in this job and that you have specific reasons as to why you are interested in getting this job. It is something that will complement your resume rather than be a repetition or rehashing of your resume. By expanding on relevant experiences and expressing genuine interest in the company, it will help you describe how your values and goals align or match with your potential employers. What is the structure of a cover letter? A cover letter which will include your contact details and the name of the company to which you are applying. The cover letter specifically follows the format of a formal letter. A formal letter has a set format. In that set format, your address will figure and the address of the person to whom you are sending the letter will also figure. That is why the contact details of yourself and the name and details of the company to which you are applying will be a part of your cover letter. There will be an introduction after the addresses. Okay. First, you will write the address of the center, that is your own address. Then you will have the date. Then you will have the address of whomever it is that you are writing the letter to. Then you will have the salutation. Then you will have the subject under the salutation. And then you will have the body of the letter. This is the most updated format of a formal letter as we currently have. However, this is when you are writing a letter, physically writing a letter. If you are writing an email, the format might differ and you are aware of this. An email has a format of its own. Instead of the address, you will be using the email ID of yourself and of the person that you are writing the letter to. It will continue to have a subject line that is separate from the salutation. It will have a formal salutation and it will have a tripartite. Usually it is a 3-paragraph structure, body to it. Okay. You will have an introduction. This introduction will state your name and the role to which you're applying. Then you will give a short overview of what your strengths are, what your most significant accomplishments related to that role are. Okay. You will also express how excited you are to get this opportunity and you will tell your employer why you are interested in this company. How does this job profile match your career goals? In the next paragraph, you could discuss your most recent professional role and give an overview of any relevant past accomplishments. Now, make sure to keep this concise. You're not trying to list out multiple points. You're trying to show how you are the best fit, how this job profile is specifically matching to your own candidate profile. That is why you can explain the impact of these relevant accomplishments and use any statistics that you have. You should not list a statistic or a figure where it is not relevant, where it is not possible to include that figure. However, if it is possible for you to include a statistic or a figure that quantifies your successes, then you should use that figure because, like we said, it stands out on a page full of text. Okay? You should use specific examples rather than generic statements, and these examples should show that you are uniquely qualified for this position to which you are applying. There should also be a conclusion which thanks the employer for their time and expresses your interest in continuing with the hiring process. So you should add a line like, I hope to hear from you soon. Okay? Looking forward to a positive response or something like that, which shows that you are actually eager to carry forward with the hiring process here. Now, what should be included in a cover letter? What are the factors which made you apply for this job and why you want to work at this company specifically? How your work experience meets the job's requirements and how you are able to provide concrete examples of your skills. There should be a call to action. A call to action is simply the conclusion that we discussed. I hope to hear from you soon. Looking forward to a positive response from you. Okay? With thanks and regards or with regards the name and your complimentary clause. A complimentary clause is where you give your name, your designation, or any other information that you might want to provide as you are signing off. Okay? Do not omit your complimentary clause regardless of whether you are writing a formal letter or if you are drafting an email. Now we come to references. Now let me just pause you once again. Any questions with regard to cover letter? Is there anything that you would like to clarify? Nothing? Okay, we'll move forward then. I hope that is clear to you. A cover letter is often, when you are given writing exercises, cover letters are given. It might be a writing task somewhere. It might be of practical importance when you are applying for a job. Right. References are documents that provide important contact information about people who can attest to your work experience, your work habits, your character, and your skills. So, this is somebody who has known you in a professional capacity or in an academic capacity, and they are willing to bear witness to all the experiences that you claim to have, your character as a candidate, and the skills that you claim to possess. Okay? How do you compile a list of references? You can determine the number of references to include. Usually, the number of references to be included are listed or is listed with the job description. Or if you are making an academic application, the website of the university to which you're applying will list out the number of references to be included along with your application. Usually, it is a minimum of 2 references. You need to select your references carefully. Recruiters usually prefer professional references. Now, what are professional references? Somebody who has known you or has supervised you at work, or somebody who has taught you or supervised you as part of your studies. Your current or former supervisor, current or former team leader, academic advisor, professional mentor, all of these are professional references. You should provide a list of references only when your recruiter explicitly asks for it. Some JDs might not require you to provide a list of references. In that case, you do not have to include this list of references in your resume or your CV. Before you include the contact information of a professional referee in your resume or in your CV, you need to have their prior permission. Okay? They should know that they are acting as your referee. Sometimes, when you are, I'm trying to give you an example here, when you are making an academic application, for instance, you will most likely be contacting your professors, and then you need to write to your professors beforehand. You send them an email. Okay, and when you send them an email, you tell them, I am applying for such and such a position at such and such a university, and I want my references to be, usually there is also a deadline. So you inform them of the deadline, I want this by such and such a date. Okay, and I am making an application for a master's program, maybe, or a research program, whatever it is that you're applying to, you need to inform them of that. You should also ideally attach an updated CV or resume along with that email so that they can draft their reference on the basis of the information that is listed in your CV or resume. This is how you get their permission. And then you go on to list their contact information in your list of references. What is the structure of this list of reference? The name of the person who is going to be your reference, their position, the company or the university where they work, their address, contact information, phone number and email address, and the reference description. How does this person know you? Okay? A reference description should be included to make it known to your employer that this person knew me in such and such a professional capacity while I was learning or while I was working in this particular university or company. Why is this necessary? This makes sure that your employer can ask informed or specific questions when they reach out to the person who is listed as your reference. Right. This is the end of our presentation. Once again, I'm going to open the forum for any questions that you might have. Anything that you want to know. I want to know something. Uh, has any of you ever actually made a reference so far? Is my voice clear to you now?
Yes,
Yes, my voice is clear to you. And you have made a resume before this? You can go on and answer. You have not made a resume. Okay, that makes a lot of sense actually. Because I was wondering why it is that you have no questions. If you have not made a resume, then you might not have questions. Okay, that is understandable. So when you make a resume, these are the things that you should bear in mind. These might not be of relevance to you from an examination perspective, but these will be of relevance to you from a practical perspective. Okay? Whenever it is that you make your first resume, you need to include all the points that we have discussed here. You have somebody has made a resume for Kamakoti sir, it seems. Okay. And how was that experience? Would you like to tell us a bit about that experience? Nitin, would you like to tell us how that was for you? You made a very bad resume. Okay, why do you think that resume was very bad? In what way do you think that resume was lacking? Okay, you made it for a competition. You can also unmute yourself and speak if you are comfortable with that. What was wrong with that resume? That is what I'm asking. Especially after you've had the session. Are you able to figure out what went wrong there? Okay, that's all right. If you are typing an answer, most welcome. Go ahead and type the answer. Sudha, you've asked for the YouTube link. The YouTube link should be available in your academic calendar, if I'm not wrong, of the past sessions and of this session as well. But the session will be uploaded later. It will not be available right now. The past session should be available. Your student portal or your academic calendar. Now, some of the students where it's not available, okay, I have already informed them. I received a couple of complaints from you in the past sessions about the link not being available or the link not working and all of that. I have informed the same to the course coordinators, so it should be fixed. These not things that I can fix by myself. So the team has been informed. Please rest assured it will work. Okay. You weren't able to include all of his work in a very short period of time. I see. Okay, so there were a lot of things. In 30 minutes, you had to draft a resume for this person. Okay, okay. And you were not able to include all of his achievements in the resume in that span of time. That is understandable. Okay, you had to pick and choose. But did you pick and choose well, or did you omit any of the most important achievements? Is that what happened? Especially if you are a very experienced professional, there is always an element of picking and choosing. You are not giving a full blown uh, list of all the things that you've done. Rather, you're only choosing and mentioning the most relevant aspects of your career so far. So do not be worried about picking and choosing. Just be aware of what should be picked and chosen. Right? Yes, about the YouTube links, I have informed them it will be corrected. I will drop a word once again about the links not being there. So, are the links not there at all, or are the links that are there not functional? Could you clarify that? The links are not there. Okay. Okay. I'll inform them once again. Anshuman has a question. Ma'am, what to write if I have nothing to write under closing remarks in cover letter? So currently, we do not have any designations right now. That is perfectly fine. You can write your name and you give your phone number. It's fine. Write your name. Okay, you write yours sincerely. For example, a complimentary close will have that element to it. Regards or thanks and regards, comma, yours sincerely, comma. There is tutorial docs available in calendar of previous lecture, but I am unable to access. Why? I do not know why. You should write to the support team for that. If the link does not seem to be working, you seem to not have access, write to the support team, please. Okay? This was already informed to them. I will drop a word once again. Okay. Anshumani questions answered? Okay, you're welcome. Is there any other last minute clarification that you need? Okay, right. I hope the session was useful for you. If not immediately, I hope you will find this session useful in hindsight at a later point when you need to make resumes for yourself. And I also hope that whenever it is that you make a resume, it comes out excellently and that it lands you a job. Okay, thank you everybody for attending this session. Yes, Ramji, go on, ask your question.
Ma'am, as you mentioned, use some website to create resume, but resume.io is a great website. I can't download resume in free format.
Resume.io is a fake website. Is that what you're saying?
Okay.
Are you
Fake
saying that the
websites
website
with
is fake?
yes.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you. Your voice is breaking up. Okay, if the website was not good, I'm really sorry for having included it in the slides. Okay, These are
No,
generic
no, no, no.
slides that we use. Then what
Website
is the
is very,
problem? Website is very good. What is wrong there?
but it is paid, I saying. If I want to download my
It is
resume, I have to
paid.
pay it first.
See, you're not downloading your resume. That is one thing that you have to be clear about. You're only trying to find a template for a resume. That is why we also have other resources like Google Docs and Word Docs, right?
Okay.
Remember, you're only trying to find a template for a resume. You're not downloading your resume. Yes, IITM does have a formal resume format, like I mentioned. While I was there, we did use that format, and it will be given to you if you ask for it. But if that is not the template that you want to use hereafter, that's also fine. Templates for resumes are available from different sources. You can use that template, but the template is not the resume. Resume needs to be made, drafted, and crafted, customized, and personalized by you. This is 6 o'clock now. I will end my session. I hope that I've answered most of your pressing queries. I hope the session was useful to you and that you'll be able to make very good resumes hereafter. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Wish you all a wonderful evening ahead.